Hello everyone, the current topic is cranial nerve 8, that is vestibulocochlear nerve, and what are the subheadings for the same. Vestibulocochlear nerve, it has two parts. One is vestibular part, that is also known as vestibular nerve, concerned with the maintenance of equilibrium, and cochlear part, that is cochlear nerve, concerned with hearing. Functional component and nuclei, it consists of spatial somatic afferent fibers carrying the sensory information for equilibrium terminate in the vestibular nuclei within the brainstem, and fibers carrying the sensory information for hearing terminate in the dorsal and ventral cochlear nuclei located on the dorsal and ventral aspect of inferior cerebellar peduncle. They carry the sensory information for maintenance of equilibrium and hearing from membranous labyrinth of internal ear. Course. Vestibular nerve arises from the lateral aspect of pontomedullary junction. It passes through the, here you can see the vestibulocochlear nerve. It passes through the pontocerebral angle and it enters the internal acoustic meatus along with the 7th cranial nerve and the labyrinthine vessel. Now there is vestibular ganglion, which is also known as Scarpa ganglion, which is present on the vestibular nerve in the lateral part of the internal acoustic meatus, and it consists of bipolar sensory neuron. In the lateral part of internal acoustic meatus, nerve is divided into three branches: superior and inferior division of singular and singular nerve. These innervate sensory receptor for equilibrium, that is crista ampullaris, and macula in membranous labyrinth of internal ear. Cochlear nerve arises from the lateral aspect of pontomedullary junction. It also passes through the pontocerebellar angle. It enters internal acoustic meatus along with the 7th cranial nerve and labyrinthine vessel. Here you can see at the medial end of the internal acoustic meatus, it enters into the bony labyrinth of middle ear and reaches the modulus of internal ear. In the modulus cochlear possesses a sensory ganglion. The cochlear nerve has a sensory ganglion which is also known as spiral ganglion, which is also made up of bipolar neuron, and peripheral process of these neuron innervate the sensory receptor for hearing, that is organ of corti. So here you can see the sensory receptor for equilibrium are maculae and crista ampullaris, which are present in the membranous labyrinth of the internal ear, and the sensory receptor of hearing, it is the spiral organ of corti, which is present here in the inner ear. Now auditory pathway. So the peripheral process reach the organ of corti, that is end organ receptor or receptor for organ for hearing. Here you can see the spiral ganglion of cochlear nerve and the cell bodies of the first order neuron, which are present in the spiral ganglion or the cochlear ganglion. They are going to terminate in the ventral and cochlear nuclei in the medulla, and from here the second order neuron are formed. They are going to enter in the nucleus of the trapezoid body and the superior olivary nucleus on the same side as well as opposite side. So the first order neuron is spiral ganglion of cochlear nerve. Second order neuron is in the ventral and dorsal cochlear nuclei, and from here they are going to the trapezoid body and superior olivary nucleus. The third order neuron, it is present in the dorsal nucleus of trapezoid body and superior olivary nucleus. So this is the location of third order neuron, and they ascend in the lateral lemniscus. The lateral lemniscus is principal ascending auditory tract. It ascends from the region of superior olivary nucleus through the lateral part of pontine tegmentum. So here is the lateral lemniscus. The most fibers from the lateral lemniscus, they directly goes to medial geniculate body. Few fibers relay in the inferior colliculus. Here inferior colliculus located in the midbrain, and from here through the inferior brachium they are going to the medial geniculate body. from the medial geniculate body. Here is the medial geniculate body where the fourth order neurons are arising. So that is the final relay station for hearing pathway. So fibers arising from the medial geniculate body, they pass through the auditory radiations which passing through the sublentiform part of the internal capsule. Okay, and from here the auditory radiation are reaching to the primary auditory cortex, that is area 41 and 42 of Brodmann, which is located in the anterior transverse temporal gyrus or facial gyrus. So you can see the summary of the auditory pathway. First order neuron in the spiral ganglion of cochlear nerve, second order neuron in the cochlear nuclei in the medulla, third order neuron in the trapezoid body and the superior olivary nucleus, which is present in the pons and which is continuing as lateral lemniscus, and they are going to relay at the fourth order neuron, which is at the inferior colliculus. From here they can go to the inferior they are going here to medial geniculate body where the fourth order neuron are arising and which are reaching to the primary auditory cortex area 41 and 42 of Brodmann via the auditory radiation passing through the sublentiform part of internal capsule. Now the pathway for balance. So the receptor are hair cells of macula of utricle and saccule and also hair cells of crista of semicircular duct. Both are present in the internal ear. So the first order neuron is in the vestibular ganglion at the bottom of the internal auditory meatus, and the central process, because it is bipolar neuron, these are the peripheral process, these are the central process. So central process are going to end in the here after forming the vestibular nerve, they will relay in the vestibular nuclei of medulla where the second order neurons are formed here. So in the vestibular nuclei, the second order neurons are beginning. The second order neuron of vestibular nuclei of medulla, they go to the flocculonodular lobe of cerebellum via the inferior cerebellar peduncle, that is vestibulocerebellar tract, and also they pass through the medial longitudinal fasciculus to reach the motor nuclei of third, fourth and sixth cranial nerve. Also they go to the anterior horn cells of spinal cord via the vestibulospinal tract, and they reach to the post ventral nucleus of thalamus also. From the post ventral nucleus of thalamus, the third order sensory neuron are arising and they are going to the vestibular area in the post central gyrus. So that is the pathway for the balance. Applied anatomy. So lesion of vestibulocochlear nerve can be present as tinnitus, that is ringing or buzzing in the ear. It can be impairment of or loss of hearing, or it can be loss of balance, also known as vertigo. Tumor sheath cell of 8th cranial nerve at the cerebellopontine angle forms the acoustic neuroma. This is one of the common intracranial tumor. It may involve adjacent 5th, 7th and 9th nerve also, and it may compress cerebellum and medulla also. So these are the references. Thank you.